This month from Big Finish, it's a big one. July is the biggie. We have the return of the Lost Stories and the novel adaptations, the continuation of the Second Doctor adventures, not just one, but two Torchwood releases. But Ben, what Worlds of Doctor Who release kicks off this month on the 2nd of July?
Well, my dear friend Luke, I will tell you, it
Do
is
tell.
dark. It is Dark Gallifrey, War Master, Part 1. But by the looks of the cover, no War Master. It is the final time we are having David Warner's Unbound Doctor with Bernie Summerfield. So yeah, this is going to be very exciting. Morbius was a fantastic little trilogy, and obviously having it continue with the Unbound Doctor. And this is the start of sort of a shopping list of characters. Like I said, this has the War Master, Bernie Summerfield, the Unbound Doctor, and Captain John Hart. So this is the start of a series where they go looking for Dark Gallifrey. So this is very exciting. As somebody who loves the Unbound Doctor and Benny, this is a release I'm incredibly excited for.
On the 4th of July, something pretty big is happening. Don't forget to vote, by the way. But also,
Yeah.
Torchwood Soho continues with Ascension. This is the fourth box set in the series, taking inspiration from the fourth Quatermass TV serial, which is simply titled Quatermass, or there is a film edit called Quatermass Conclusion. But, I'm getting into the nerdy fan territory there. This is a big finish for all nerdy fans. What am I talking about?
Ah, you're
This-
a nerd. We've got a Ninth Doctor.
Goodness me, Ravagers is 3 years old now. But anyway, Torchwood Soho Ascension by James Goss is about the end of the world coming around in the 1950s. These groups who believe that the world is coming to an end are going missing. Are they off to heaven, or is something worse happening? Well, it's Torchwood, so something worse is happening. Norton Folgate's up to no good as usual, and it's all coming to a head in this 6-episode box set out on the 4th.
From the 50s to the 60s, on the 12th of July, we have our first Second Doctor release of the month. This July is the month of the Second Doctor, as we have Conspiracy of Raven, which contains 3 stories: Kippers by Nicholas Briggs, Catastrophe Theory by Mark Wright, The Vanishing Point by Mark Wright and Nicholas Briggs. So this seems to be exploring Raven as a character, and it seems to be quite an arc-heavy thing, with obviously the two main people behind this season 6B sort of stories. Wendy Padby reuniting with her old friends, with Zoe coming back. But is it actually Zoe Harriet? Is something going on? We'll just have to wait and see.
Do you know what else is quite significant about this release, or could be quite significant?
Oh, go on.
It could be the first Big Finish release in 14 years, not under a Tory government.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
On the 11th of July, it is the third Thursday in a row to see a Torchwood release. This time, it is the 1920s Torchwood team going up against a god from the Pantheon. It's Damara, the god of beasts. This rather interesting release sees us introduced to some new characters. Sir Reggie, played by Will Scolding, and A.C. Forrester, his butler, played by Simon Kane, as they investigate the Serpentine Club. But what is the Serpentine Club really? This new sensation in high society. What is behind the curtain? It's Tamara. Of course, it's Tamara.
On the 17th of July, get your crosses and your garlic and your Oasis CDs, as vampires are coming to Manchester to celebrate 30 years of the Virgin Missing Adventures. We have the resurrection of the sort of novel adaptations with goth opera. The first in the Missing Adventures book range, written by Paul Cornell, and this is a sequel to Blood Harvest, but you don't need to listen to Blood Harvest. This is a nice, fun standalone release, which is put to Nyssa at the heart of the story, as she has been transformed into a vampire, and it explores Time Lord mythology and the Great Vampire War. This is a release that you're not going to want to miss. Adapted by Elizabeth Miles, and it is a 3-part story. So this is going to be an epic release. And I think for many people, this is going to be the release people are most excited for because, everybody loves Fifth Doctor, Nyssa, and Tegan.
To something storylined over 55 years ago. It is Operation Werewolf, the Second Doctor Lost Story featuring Jamie and Zoe landing in Normandy not long before the D-Day landings, where some plots are afoot. They're Nazis, of course, they're up to no good. But this no good is more sci-fi than history would allow. They are experimenting in teleportation, and some nasty gases are in the air. I mean, I'm really excited for this one. I love the Second Doctor era. I'm not been the biggest fan of the Second Doctor Adventures range. It's no secret. But this feels like what I want from that range, really. Just what the Third Doctor Adventures have been doing some classic stories in that original style. It's even going to have its own bespoke little post-title sequence title cards, like they used to do for some stories, like, Seeds of Death. You've got the panning across the moon or the earth before zooming in on whichever is in view. This is going to include that and some individual titles as well. Something not usual for this point in the show's history, but when Douglas Camfield and Robert Kitts were storylining it, it was what they wrote down on the page. So, of course, Big Finish have carried those individual titles forward rather nicely. And yes, you did hear that right. Douglas Camfield, more famous as a Who director, but he did at one point get so fed up with the scripts he was given that he decided to write one of his own. Didn't quite make it to screen, but it's now making it to audio. We don't have a release date for this one as of the time of recording, but based on the way the other release dates have shaken out, I imagine this will be towards the end of the month.
Yes, from that Lost Story to I guess this one's going to be out first. I assume Death World.
Yeah, I imagine so.
We have the What If 10th anniversary story, Death World, by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, who had this sort of initial idea from the 7 Deadly Sins, where you have the Time Lord President playing chess with death, and you have the Doctors arriving in purgatory in this sort of hell or Hades, and they face off these various sort of machinations of death, whether that be from Indian gods to Japanese sort of folklore. And the Doctors have to unite.
The Hindu god Kanun with horns.
Yes, very very on brand. So it's going to be very exciting because from what Terrence Dicks said, that there would be sort of mass suicide and man-eating fungus. I don't think we're going to get that in John Dorney's adaptation. I think this is going to be a little bit more friendly and more on brand to Barry Letz's and Terrence Dicks' sort of remit.
A bit like what it would have been if it made it to screen, but obviously it made it to screen very differently as the Three Doctors.
Yes,
in that style.
You can see elements what would be taken on with the Three Doctors, like Death becoming Omega, or I think it was going to be Ohm in the original draft. I've done a video covering the history of Death World. If you want to know the full ins and outs, check out that video. But yeah, Death World.
It is a rather wonderful video, I will say. I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah, thank you.
I can. I'm not complimenting my own work there.
Yeah, so check that out if you want to know the full ins and outs of Death World.
It's like a little bonus feature, I feel.
Yeah.
You've outdone yourself with that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that is what we have to look forward to this month. And that is a lot. It's an expensive month.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's funny because when was it? Back in February, we had the news of Goth Opera. Mm-hmm. And that looked like it would be the most exciting thing coming in July.
Yeah.
And then these Lost Stories have come along and blown Goth Opera out of the water in some ways.
Which is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just brilliance on top of brilliance on top of brilliance. I mean, hopefully we don't get burned by this month, because it's safe to say our hype is at an all-time high. Big
Yeah.
Finish, you have our attention, you have our wallets.
They had our wallets anyway.
Yeah, they did. It was guaranteed. But yeah, I mean, most anticipated.
It's got to be Death World, I think, because it's one of those lost stories I've wanted Big Finish to adapt for a long time.
For me, Operation Werewolf for the same
Yeah.
reasons of you with Death World,
Yeah,
really.
And I think it'd be good to actually have Michael Troughton and Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines playing younger versions of the characters.
It's the TV roles,
The TV
slotting
roles,
into
yeah.
that continuity rather than carrying on beyond with the Beyond War Games arc. Yeah. And I mean, again, we have them in Death World. It is a big month for the Second Doctor.
Yeah.
So
You wait so long for the Second Doctor content, then you sort of burn through it within a month. It's crazy.
yeah, three coming along at once. It is mad. And then it's funny because 3 Second Doctor releases, and that's not even all for Doctor Who. You've got
Yeah.
Goth Opera there as well. Portrait Soho, something else that I'm intrigued by. Yeah, I mean, I've been loving that range so far. This one seems to be very intriguing concept as well, with this idea of how would people in the 1950s react if they suddenly found out that heaven was real? How would that change people's perception of life and reality? It's something that feels rather RTD. It's almost got a Miracle Day, Children of Earth vibe with how it's very much examining the human condition in that sense. So, yeah, that feels very true to Torchwood, but also very classic as well, because that's almost what Torchwood Soho is. It's what if Torchwood had a classic series in some ways. Yeah, I do adore that range. I mean, you're tempted by the Mara release, aren't you?
I am, especially now we've got a reference in the most recent series gone by. And, Big Finish haven't really done much with the Mara, only Cradle of the Snake. And it'd be interesting to take the Mara outside of the Fifth Doctor, because we've only had the Mara so heavily tied to, Tegan's character. So it'd be interesting to see what
I mean, not
Mara
just
gets.
outside of the Fifth Doctor, but outside of the Doctor in general.
Yeah.
Outside of Doctor Who.
Obviously, there was the Tales of Trenzalore book as well, before people comment. I know that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that done.
Yeah, and it's a bittersweet month as well with the final goodbye to David Warner in The War Master Part 1. But it's nice knowing that there was this little extra that they were holding on to.
Yeah, it makes Time Lord Immemorial less of a stinker, because you're getting the true goodbye with him, with Bernice, really.
Yeah, because it always was a shame that Benny wasn't a part of Time Lord Immemorial. There's a lot of shames about Time Lord Immemorial, but we won't go into that now because we're being positive. So yeah, it's just nice to have them together all again for one last hurrah. It is going to be a shame when we finish listening to that release and realise there's no more David Warner Big Finishes to come, but it was a bonus we weren't expecting.
We've got a wonderful back catalogue, what we can always appreciate and cherish.
It's not just his Unbound Doctor, but he's done so many other roles as well for them. Cuthbert, is it Cuthbert or Cuthbert?
Yeah, Cuthbert. Yeah, Cuthbert.
Yeah, and so many one-off roles in
Sapphire and Steel.
So he's been the narrator in The Black Hole.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just Big Finish. He's had such an incredible acting career beyond that. And much missed. But that is July from Big Finish. Let us know which release you're most excited for in the comments below. If you can choose, it's okay to be excited for so many things. Because it is a very exciting month to come. We'll be reviewing, talking about, chatting, all these things
all
as
of the
the
above
month goes on and beyond, because we love Big Finish here. We love Doctor Who.
We do.
We love Torchwood as well.
Especially you.
We love you, our viewers. Thank you for sticking with us. You mean the world to us.
We do. You do.
Yeah. We're being somewhat facetious, but we do mean it as well. Your support is always welcome.
We appreciate every one of you tuning in.
If you're just viewing, if you're leaving likes, if you're leaving comments, if you're a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, thank you for investing your time,
Taking that time out of
making it this,
your day,
yeah,
you know.
making it this far into a video. But we're just snattering on at this point. We're not even talking Big Finish.
And we really
So
should say goodbye.
we really should. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.